Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 229 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast. I'm Christine.
And I'm Sam.
Here's what's coming up in today's show. In this week's Why Files, we'll share why the African lungfish is such an amazing non-human animal.
In our Noteworthy segment, the USDA pauses loans for animal farm digesters. Is this a good thing?
I think we'll find out. And in our main topic, the University of Wisconsin is investigating an animal advocacy student group, and we'll tell you why.
Yeah, we will.
But before we get into all of that, we always like to share a little bit of what we've been up to.
Well, you know, the late spring, early summer vibes are in full swing around here.
Totally.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite times of year, actually, because it's not quite warm enough that we have to like close the windows and turn on the AC. So the windows are open. There's tons of cross breeze in the house because we've got lots of windows.
Yeah.
It's really just wonderful. Christine has been doing an awesome job of kind of sprucing the yard.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of yard work and general sprucing.
General sprucing. Yes. I, on the other hand, have been sprucing what we are now calling the turtle room.
Right. Yeah, the turtle room.
Yes, which is not only a guest room for when folks come and stay with us, but it's also kind of where I store all of my knitting supplies and all of that. And ever since I moved into this house 19 years ago, I've wanted to like really make that room what I wanted it to be. And it's never
quite gotten there.
We've never quite gotten there.
Yeah.
And this time around, like, this is it, man.
Yeah, you went just gangbusters, and I finally got to see it. I had the official unveiling yesterday.
Yeah, but you know, I gotta say, I wasn't quite ready to unveil it.
Well, I don't know why. It's essentially done.
Essentially, yes. Yeah. But, just not all of the details were in at that point. And, I wanted to reveal it in its full glory. And, so.
Well, I think it's pretty glorified.
I do love it.
Glorified.
Glorious.
Glorious.
There you go. Yeah. No, it is lovely. And I've been spending some time in there. So like Saturday, for example, I spent almost the entire day in the turtle room.
You did.
Reading. I read the entirety of a book titled Dinner at the Night Library by Japanese author Hika Harada. Yeah. And it was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. Highly recommend. Track down the English translation in your local library, which is exactly what I did, but it was delightful.
Sam is a voracious reader.
When I have the time, oh yes.
And she'll read a book in an afternoon. Just read the whole book.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Me, on the other hand, I take months sometimes to read a book, and oftentimes I don't even finish them.
No, because you fall asleep when you read.
I know.
Yeah. I actually can't pick up a new book when I'm trying to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Because I will just stay up until I've finished it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will go straight to sleep.
Yeah. Read the first Harry Potter book in one sitting overnight.
Yeah.
Read the first Hunger Games novel in one sitting overnight.
Yeah.
Because I mistakenly started them at night and just couldn't put them down. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the danger of starting a new book in the evening.
Love me a good story.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We wanted to apologize to anybody that went out to Syracuse to see us this past weekend. We were unable to go to the Syracuse Vlog party put on by the Syracuse Veg Collective because of a couple of factors. The weather was supposed to be extremely stormy and windy, and we're just not.
We aren't
prepared for that.
We're not prepared for that. And rain and knitted things do not mix rain and particularly well.
Apparently the rain held off mostly. There was a little bit of rain, but the wind was still an issue. There was some, pretty strong winds. But the other factor was Sam's recurring back issues. Yeah. So we just didn't want to make that any worse.
Mm-hmm. And that's fair.
Yeah, but we do apologize, and we will be making a donation to the CNY SNAP, which is where all the money was going. We already paid to be at the event, and that went to CNY SNAP.
Yes, but an additional donation is a good thing.
I would like to make an additional donation to make up for the fact that we weren't there to support the effort.
Amen.
By everybody involved. Because I saw online, it looked like everybody had a really great time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm kind of bummed we missed it.
I am too.
And the weather people were
completely and totally wrong.
So wrong.
Yeah.
So wrong.
In fact, all day, because we had beautiful weather here on Saturday.
We did.
And all day, Christine's like stomping around the house. She's like, but it's so pretty. And at like 10:30 in the morning, I'm like, do you still want to go? We could jump in the car now. And she's,
No, we would have been late, and I don't like being late.
Yeah.
Plus, still the back issue thing we would have had to deal with. So anyway, yeah, we apologize if you expected to see us there, and we're disappointed that we weren't.
Yes.
Because we were also disappointed.
Yes,
that,
indeed.
that we weren't there. On a happier note, we have a bunny nest.
We do.
In the middle of our yard, which is a little. It makes me nervous because it's like right in the middle of the yard. I put like a signpost over it so that nobody would step there or mow there or do anything there. But there are several
Little baby bunnies.
tiny baby bunnies under the tuft of dried grass, which is what rabbits usually do. But they also usually put it like up against something, like a tree or a bush or someplace that's a little more protected from the weather. And I don't know, it must be a new bunny mom. She just decided, there's a divot in the middle of this yard. I think I'll just put my nest here. Anywho.
But we did get to see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very, very cute.
Yeah, and I always, especially this time of year when I mow, I go around the yard before I even think about mowing and look for things like that because this is the time of year.
Oh, yes.
When, all of God's creatures, as they
everybody's
say.
having babies.
Yeah, all the babies are being, So you have to watch for nests when if I trim shrubs or something like that. You just have to be aware of things. So that was kind of cute.
It's awesome.
And then coming up this Saturday, something exciting is we're going back to Toronto to see Mumford & Sons, the band Mumford & Sons.
Yes.
Yeah, we love them. So
we do, right along with our Florence and the Machine expedition.
Yeah.
Couple months ago. This is a bucket list concert for me, is Mumford & Sons.
Should be really good.
Yeah. So we're doing this in celebration of our 14th wedding anniversary, which is actually this Wednesday.
Yeah.
Which is super cool.
We've been together almost 20 years.
That's insane.
I know. I said earlier that Sam's been putting up with me for almost 20 years.
Well, I mean, that goes both ways.
I guess it does.
That goes both ways.
Unfortunately, in Toronto, we won't be able to get our beloved Planta.
No.
Because they have closed both of their Toronto locations.
They have. It's very sad.
It is sad.
But
it's also an opportunity to try something we haven't tried.
Absolutely. Yep.
So we will report back on that next week.
We sure will.
So should we jump into this week's episode?
Let's do it.
All righty. Here is this week's Y-Files. So like I said in the intro, today we are going to be talking about the West African lungfish. What makes the West African lungfish an incredible non-human animal? West African lungfish are prehistoric animals. They have survived unchanged for so long, nearly 400 million years, that they are sometimes nicknamed living fossils. West African lungfish have remarkable adaptations that have helped them survive a primitive lung and the ability to survive in a state of estivation, which is a similar state as hibernation. A lungfish's lung is a biological adaptation. A biological adaptation, of course, is a physical change in an organism that develops over time. Like all fish, lungfish have organs known as gills to extract oxygen from the water. The biological adaptation of the lung allows the lungfish to also extract oxygen from the air. The lungfish's estivation also involves a number of biological adaptations, including the excretion of a mucus cocoon and digestion of the fish's own muscle tissue to obtain nutrients. A mucus cocoon. If only we all could make a mucus cocoon.
I'm actually okay with not being able to. Like, that's fine with me.
But let me tell you about why that's so cool.
You go right ahead.
Prior to estivation, lungfish furiously burrow into the muddy ground. The behavioral adaptation of burrowing allows lungfish to create a protected habitat where they can survive during long periods of dormancy. Here's what happens. Below the surface of the marsh, the roots of the papyrus jungle reached back in time to the domain of a creature that first settled here almost 400 million years ago. long before the dinosaurs. Like the papyrus plant, the African lungfish spans 2 worlds. This fish has gills, but it still needs air every half hour. Otherwise, it will drown. Unlike most fish, it has a primitive lung, and what's more, it can perform a truly breathtaking feat. When the dry season comes and water turns to puddles and then puddles turn to mud, the African lungfish finds himself in the thick of it. That's okay. The secret to the lungfish's longevity starts with a drought-defying burrow in the mud. About 10 inches below the surface, the fish spews mucus. It solidifies to form a cocoon-like shelter that traps moisture and lets in air. The lungfish enters excavation. While most animals burn fat for energy to keep alive, the lungfish digests mussels in its tail. It can survive for months until the seasons change and salvation comes raining down upon it. Just a few days of rain changes everything, plunging Bengaluru underwater again. As the ground starts to soften, the lungfish rise like zombies all over the place. If need be, they could have waited 2 years or more. They climb back to the real world with help from their modified finger-like fins and hit the water. Then a quick drip to the surface for a refreshing gulp of air. So this is amazing. First of all, this fish can walk. Okay?
It's pretty cool.
Second of all, it can survive on land.
Yes.
It creates, I know you hate me saying it, but a mucus cocoon.
I don't hate you saying it. I mean, the image is interesting, and it certainly made you laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just glad I can't create one.
And it can breathe air. But it's still a fish. It's not considered, like a frog or a turtle.
Right. So it's not amphibious. It's still a fish.
It's not an amphibian. It's at all. It is a fish with gills. Very fascinating. And like this article says, they are living fossils. Mm-hmm. Nearly 400 million years.
Yeah. Very, very few species can say that.
Yeah.
Can claim that.
That they have lived in the way that they are currently living.
Yeah.
400 million years of living that way.
Absolutely.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Talk about adaptation. I doubt that humanity will last that long.
Right. You might not think it's so incredible, but I really do.
No, I do. I think it's really awesome.
I don't know why.
It's super cool.
I'm fascinated by things that our non-human animal friends can do that we can't.
Well, yeah. How could you not be?
Yeah. So if you're interested, look into the lungfish. Check out the article. There's also a link to a video about the lungfish. And you, too, can see a mucus cocoon. Should we move on to our noteworthy segment?
Sure thing. Let's do it.
Okay.
So this is coming to us from Inside Climate News, specifically their Justice and Health section. The USDA extends a pause on loans for controversial digesters that turn manure into biogas. The federal government's pause on new loans for anaerobic digesters, the controversial method of converting animal manure from large-scale feeding operations into biogas, will now extend through the end of the year. The U.S. Department of Agriculture explained the move in financial terms, saying digester projects had significant delinquency rates and realized losses. Digesters are intended to cut greenhouse gas emissions. The Trump administration has targeted climate efforts across the federal government, but unlike many initiatives pitched as climate-friendly, digesters are popular with the agricultural industry and viewed with concern by environmentalists. Digesters cover open-air manure pits with massive black tarps that expand as they trap gas, made up mostly of methane and carbon dioxide. The gas, intended to be burned for energy, can be captured via tanks as well. Hundreds of these projects operate on large-scale concentrated animal feeding operations, or CAFOs, in the United States, particularly in California, North Carolina, Idaho, and Iowa. Often located in communities of color, the digesters can both directly and indirectly fuel pollution. We see them as both an economic and environmental liability for Californians, especially Californians living near large dairy operations that have digesters, said Phoebe Seaton, co-executive director for the Leadership Council for Justice and Accountability, noting hundreds of millions of dollars have been spent on them by the state. In North Carolina, one company, Legacy Biogas, received a federal loan in 2018 during the first Trump administration to supplement its $5 million digester investment at White Oaks Farm, but the operation subsequently had a series of environmental violations. Then the digester cover at the farm breached and discharged 10,000 gallons of waste into a nearby swamp in 2022. Legacy Biogas subsequently sold the farm at public auction in 2024 and went into foreclosure. The farm's new owners haven't restarted the digester. The USDA's decision to extend its pause on digester loans was based on the Trump administration's commitment to being prudent stewards of taxpayer dollars.
I'm surprised you could say that with a straight face.
Hey, I'm doing my best over here, and let's clarify that that's what an agency spokesperson wrote in a statement to Inside Climate News.
Yeah, that's a huge air quotes there, yeah.
Yeah, huge air quotes. Supporting high-risk digester projects threatens the long-term stability of the program and its capacity to fulfill its mission, wrote J.R. Clays, administrator of the USDA's Rural Business Cooperative Service, which manages the loan guarantees for digester projects. Industry players are skeptical. The American Biogas Council, a group promoting digesters, thinks federal staffing cuts are at the heart of it, not delinquencies. The more we learn about what actually happened with these projects, the more surprised we are that there's a pause in the first place, and the more surprised we are that it was even extended, said Patrick Surface, the council's executive director. Asked for details on delinquent digester loans, a USDA spokesperson pointed to public lender data available online. An Inside Climate News review of the USDA lender data, last updated at the end of March, showed that of the 746 project lenders nationwide, 11% were considered over 90 days delinquent. The American Biogas Council says only a few digesters are seriously delinquent and argues that new projects should not be delayed. The USDA directive from April extended a January pause. It came on the heels of rallies by several groups, including a half dozen from North Carolina, petitioning for loans under the Rural Energy for America program to no longer go toward large-scale farms. The loans have encouraged the continued use of digesters and the expansion of CAFOs, environmental groups say. These are touted as climate solutions. Andrew DeCoriolis, executive director of Farm Forward, a nonprofit dedicated to ending factory farming, told Inside Climate News. But increasingly, the evidence is showing that this is driving expansion in factory farms, driving more pollution, and totally changes the economics of the farm. In most cases, the gas is not worth anything. It's all the public subsidies and carbon credits associated with the gas. Nearly 400 manure-based digesters were operating nationwide as of the most recent federal estimate in June 2024, up from roughly 41 that the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency recorded 2 decades earlier. Another 73 were under construction across the country, the EPA reported. Many are in California, which has more than 160 digesters operating at dairy farms and dozens of others under construction, according to experts and industry groups. California is the top producer of milk in the nation. As dairies grow, communities in the state are concerned about digesters, said Tara Heinsohn, legal director at the nonprofit Food and Water Watch. Digesters leak, and they also can increase emissions of other pollutants that are really harmful at the community level, like ammonia, said Heinsohn, who also pointed to worries about water pollution and the digestion process making nutrients in animal waste more soluble and thus prone to runoff. Her group is part of a coalition challenging the ways that California's low-carbon fuel standard can incentivize digesters. Joan Casey, an environmental epidemiologist at Columbia University, published a review in 2015 of health harms CAFOs inflict on people living nearby. Families near CAFOs experience stress, cognitive problems, asthma, and impaired lung function, among other health issues, she found. Research shows the dairy industry in California creates about half of the state's emissions of methane, a significant climate pollutant. The state has spent nearly $300 million in grants to cut down on dairy methane emissions and is also raising money to fund digesters with climate policies that make companies pay for their pollution. The state views manure digesters as an effective greenhouse gas emission reduction tool, says Dave Clegern, a spokesman for the California Air Resources Board. Manure management reduced methane emissions from livestock to 9.9 million metric tons in 2023, from a peak of 12 million metric tons in 2012, the agency said. If you don't build a biogas system, how much of that methane and carbon dioxide goes into the air? Asked Surface of the American Biogas Council. 100%, right? Nicole Ayash, the chief sustainability officer for the National Milk Producers Federation, pointed to a study in the journal Environmental Science and Technology that showed anaerobic digesters may reduce manure systems' greenhouse gas emissions in a big way, 58% to nearly 80%, depending on the region. Ayash said the National Milk Producers Federation has been in touch with the USDA on the loan pause and the government's ongoing review of delinquency rates. We hope that that's done as efficiently and as soon as practical so that farmers who are depending on this program aren't waiting, Ayash said. But Heinzen of Food and Water Watch pointed to a new study from researchers at Stanford University and other major institutions that found digester incentives are spurring CAFOs to get bigger because biogas sales are making manure profitable. Farm Forward recently released a report on the effect of an Iowa law lifting the cap on the number of animals raised on farms with digesters. Animal numbers at permitted sites increased by 23%, the group found. We're entrenching this really harmful model of livestock production, Heinzen said.
For me, that is the big problem.
That's the problem
with these digesters, is that they are encouraging, not only through incentives, but they're encouraging CAFOs to grow and more CAFOs to be built. And the amount of methane reduction is questionable because some studies are coming from the dairy industry themselves, and some studies are coming from Stanford.
Sure.
And of course, you're going to get all these conflicting reports as to how effective these digesters are in removing pollutants from the air. No. They also have to weigh that against how much pollutants are being released into the ground and into groundwater because of the digesters.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and it is admitted that digesters leak, and so they may not be confining the biogas to the degree that people think they are.
Yeah.
So I agree that it's dangerous. I'm actually glad that there's a pause on digester loans because that means things are slowing down, at least temporarily, which is good. But I do agree with you that the biggest problem about this, I mean, there's no question that biogas is a problem and that methane and carbon dioxide in particular are problems, methane being the greater problem of the two.
Right.
And so the more we can, kind of keep that to a minimum is of course a good thing. But I don't see how encouraging CAFOs to grow and encouraging the number of CAFOs in the country to grow simply by utilization of these digesters, which are supposed to contain biogas.
Yeah.
I don't see that as a positive step forward.
Yeah. And unfortunately, you have people like RFK Jr. that are encouraging farmers, I use that in big air quotes, owners of CAFOs to increase herd size.
Oh, of course.
And, increase production.
But he's an idiot.
And all of this without looking at the downfall,
Well, no, of course
the
not.
downside of all of that. And the only way that we can really reduce the damage that these industrial farms are causing to our environment is by reducing the number of industrial farms that we have and reducing herd size.
That's right.
That's the only way.
Yeah.
And, the fact that the Trump administration is greedy and not willing to loan out this money is kind of actually working to that benefit.
At least temporarily.
Temporarily, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the digesters have grown significantly. I mean, what they go from like 71 to 400?
No, they were saying from 41.
41 to 400.
Yeah, just in the past 2 decades.
Yeah.
Not even 2 decades.
Yeah. So people are actually, these companies are taking advantage of the incentives to build these, but they're not really helping with the problem.
Right.
They're not helping with the root of the problem, that's for sure.
Yeah.
There's some really interesting graphics included with this article too. So we'll, as always, have a link in the show notes if you'd like to take a look at this article and learn a little bit more about how these digesters work. Have you said all you want to say about biodigesters?
I have.
Okay. I have too.
All right then.
Yeah. Let's move on to our main topic.
This week, our main topic comes to us from Inside Higher Ed. The University of Wisconsin investigates animal advocacy student group amid breeding facility raids. This is taking us right back to Ridgeland Farms.
Yeah.
The University of Wisconsin at Madison is investigating whether the student group Animal Advocacy encouraged members to participate in an illegal raid of a puppy mill earlier this spring. In March, 50 activists broke into Ridgeland Farms, a Blue Mounds, Wisconsin facility that breeds beagles for biomedical research and has as many as 2,150 dogs, and removed 23 beagles. Animal Advocacy distributed flyers and posted online about the raid a day later, encouraging followers to participate in post-rescue online advocacy by reaching out to state officials, donating to rescue efforts, and circulating social media posts. The group did not say it was involved in the raid, nor did it mention the possibility of a future raid in its public communications. Jackson Ray, leader of the group and rising junior at UW-Madison, told the Journal Sentinel that the group's messaging did not encourage anyone to break the law. The university is not conducting a criminal investigation, but it is evaluating whether Animal Advocacy violated student conduct policies. If the group loses its status as a registered student group, it forgoes funding from student government. Ray told the Journal Sentinel that the group had received about $30,000 over the past academic year.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. About a month after the initial raid, 1,000 people showed up at the farm for a second raid and were stopped by police, who deployed tear gas and fired rubber bullets, the Journal Sentinel reported. Hundreds of dogs have been removed in the weeks since the second attempt. As of Wednesday afternoon, 1,635 beagles had been released to rescue organizations.
And the reason I wanted to share this is not so much more news about what's going on at Ridgeland Farms, because we've heard a ton about what's going on with Ridgeland Farms.
We have.
And the dogs that have been moved into rescue facilities or moved into people's homes, which is fantastic. But what struck me about this is what students at universities should be doing.
Amen.
This is what, they should be protesting the wrongs of the world.
Yep.
That's what student organizations
couldn't agree more
should be doing. And the fact that they're investigating this student group for doing exactly what they are meant to be doing. They are an animal advocacy group, and none of what they were doing was encouraging anything that breaks any laws. I don't know UW's policies, but from what this article is saying, it doesn't sound like they did anything wrong. I think it discourages kids from becoming active, both politically and ethically active on campus. And that's something that you don't want to see happening.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, since the invention of the university. Universities have been, kind of hotbeds of activism and protest, just because they are communities of thinking people,
Right.
Which is one of the things that I absolutely love about it. And so, no, of course, we don't want to see that curtailed in any way. Am I surprised that the university is doing what could be perceived as their due diligence? No, I'm not. And I think it's probably in the university's best interest that they do, just to make sure. But I agree with you that it sounds to me like the student group has not done anything untoward, and that no one has been encouraged to do anything illegal. And so, I hope that logic kind of rules the day.
Yeah, I thought that your opinion on this would be interesting, because I understand there were some criminal charges brought against some of the people involved in some of the raids at Ridgeland, and you're probably right. It probably is just UW, covering their butts,
Sure,
in case anybody in their student population was involved in any of that.
Right.
But I don't want something like this, or the reporting of something like this, because it's the reporting that kind of makes me leery, because it might keep students from voicing their opinions.
And we certainly don't want that.
No, especially in the climate that we're living in right now. I can understand how it can be scary sometimes to publicly protest and voice your opinions about what's going on in the world.
Right.
Both in the world of animal advocacy and in the world of human equality and, whatever. I just don't want things like this to discourage young people right now, because they're needed more than ever.
Amen to that.
Right?
They sure are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be kind of a shorter episode today.
And that's all right.
Yeah. Next week, I think we're doing a vegan Am I the Asshat episode.
I love a good asshat episode.
I think it's about time to do something a little more light and, something that's a little more fun. So
Are you saying this isn't fun?
This is always fun. Don't get me wrong. But come on. We talked about mucus cocoons.
This is true. We did.
There is nothing more fun than a mucus cocoon.
Well, made you laugh.
Several times.
Yes.
But, some of what's going on in the world and in the world of veganism can be, it can be a bit of a downer. So it's good to
Can't argue that.
Yeah, it's good to do something a little more on the lighter side and expose some idiocy every once in a while, just for fun's sake.
It's, exposing idiocy is a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now it is time for our very favorite portion of the show.
Must be listener shout out time.
It's listener shout out.
Just want to give a shout out to all my fans watching. I love you guys. I love you.
This week's shout out goes out to Pamela961. Pamela is a new subscriber to our weekly newsletter, and we are oh so happy to have her on board. Thanks for listening and for subscribing, Pamela.
Yeah, thank you. And please send us your t-shirt size and address so that we can send you a Compassion and Cucumbers swag bag. You can either text us using the link in our show notes. You can drop us a voicemail using that link. You can email us at compassionandcucumbers@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram or Facebook.
And for the rest of you out there, if you would like a listener shout out, just contact us using any of the methods that Christine just mentioned.
There's so many ways.
So many ways. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you think of the show. We'd love to shout you out and send you some swag. You can also nominate someone else for a shout out.
Yeah, and that would be fun.
It would.
I guess it's time to wrap this baby up. But before we go, please be sure to subscribe to the show and leave us a review if you can, and subscribe to our YouTube. And also like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram for updates about the show and pictures of vegan food we find and a bunch of other stuff. And if you want to get news about upcoming episodes like Pamela, you can do that by subscribing to our weekly newsletter at our website, which is compassionandcucumbers.com.
And with that, it's time to sign off. You have just listened to episode 229 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast, and there's nothing left to say but where cukes and compassion are always the fashion. On the podcast.
Thanks, James.
Have a great week, everyone.
We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
We love you.
We do. Please take care of each other.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
The end.
About 10 inches below the surface, the fish spews mucus. It solidifies. All right, hold on. The spewing mucus made me laugh. Just a few days of rain changes everything, plunging Bengaluru underwater again.
Bengaluru. 12 million metric tongues. No.
I'm going to start over.
Yeah, I would.
All over the place. If you'd like to support the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast, well, you can do that by hopping on over to our Patreon page and becoming a patron. We have all the recipes from our vegan kitchen series up there, and we'll be adding some patron-only episodes in the near future. So thank you for supporting us at whatever level that you choose, and thank you again for listening to Compassion and Cucumbers podcast.